Today, I'm exploring this idea of effective reps, this idea that if you're doing a set, let's say 10 repetitions, that the last repetitions just before failure are the ones that are the hardest, the grindiest, and the ones that have the most stimulating effect at helping you build muscle. Now, before I made this video, I did a little homework over at Stronger by Science, and there's a great article there by Nuckols, basically looking at a lot of the research on effective repetitions, and there's a link down below in the description if you want to check it out. It's a very good read, but I'll paraphrase it a bit for you. Essentially what Greg is saying that the evidence-based research these days is showing mixed results in support of this idea that the last repetitions before failure are the ones that are most important for building muscle. It's hit or miss. It might apply more to certain populations. Interestingly enough, in one graph, they showed that for beginner lifters, it may be more important. For more experienced lifters, it may not matter as much. It's really kind of a mixed bag. From what I've gathered over the years, there are three things that we can put some faith into for a reliable stimulus. One is make sure you're using exercises that work the work capacity of your muscles very effectively. So you really work strength training, in other words, right? Two is make sure you're pushing the muscles to what I call a high level of fatigue. I don't use the word failure because failure is entirely subjective. I've seen people who are like, I went to failure, and then I'm like, I'll give you $100 if you can get 3 more reps, and they get it. Just changing your mindset, how you feel about the exercise. I've seen it far too many times where people go beyond their limits because human beings have a horrible track record of actually knowing where our limits are. So failure to me is always very subjective. So you don't really actually know where failure is, especially if you're a beginner. So don't worry too much about failure. Go to a point where you're really pushing how many reps you can do, the work capacity and the fatigue of the muscles. And the third, but also very important thing is make sure you're focusing on progression of the workouts. You can work as hard as you can, failure every time, blood, sweat, and tears every workout. But if every workout is the same weight, same repetitions, and you're telling your muscles to effectively do the exact same thing, it doesn't matter how hard you're working, you're always going to be in that plateau because you need progression of how well your muscles are working over time. More weight, more reps, better technique, cleaner technique, progressive technique, doesn't matter, but you have to get better at what you're doing because if you just keep doing the same thing, it doesn't matter how hard you're pushing yourself, you're always going to stay exactly where you're at. So if believing in the idea of effective reps helps you work harder to a higher level of fatigue and you're still getting more of a progression in some way, then yeah, we could probably take that to the bank and say that gives you the best chance of helping you build muscle. But at the same time, if you're like, I don't believe in effective repetitions, you can still get plenty out of the repetitions before it, you're absolutely right there too. Because there's no such thing as an ineffective repetition. You're always getting some sort of a stimulus no matter what you're doing, even in the first few repetitions of a set. So there's still value to it. It's not like they're inert and don't have any influence. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think and what you believe because that's what you're bringing to your workouts. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you want to learn more about the approaches to pushing your muscles harder, building more muscle with calisthenics, check out these videos here. Thank you very much for watching. Be fit, live free.